Okay, so welcome back to the next session or the fourth session on circulatory system. Right. So over here we will start off from the very point where we left off in the previous class. Right. So let's begin our class. Right. So let's begin learning. So let's start learning. So are you all with me? So should I start? Are you with me? Should I start? All right. Let's begin wherever we left. So we finished off the discussion about blood. We learned about blood. Now today we will start off with the very basic discussion on blood itself, right? Let's start off the discussion on blood itself. So let's start with blood itself. So whatever we are going to discuss today, we are going to discuss about blood. The definition of blood. We did not do the definition of blood. We will be doing the definition of blood, and with that we will be finishing off with the concepts that were supposed to be learned in blood, and then we will move on to the blood grouping, and finally we will go to the circulatory system. So that's the plan of today, the basic plan of today. So let's start the class. Right. Waiting for you to join. I'll start the class. Okay, so we will be starting off with the class. Okay, so let's learn the definition of blood. So in the previous class we finished off the idea of blood. We learned about the idea of blood, and now what we are going to do is we are going to learn about the definition of blood. We talked about plasma proteins, we talked about the plasma and whatnot. We finally talked about different types of formed elements in the plasma like RBC, WBC, platelets, etc. What happens when their numbers are altered, what is their lifespan, etc., etc. We all learned, right? So now we are going to just learn about the definition of blood, what blood is actually. So to define blood, if I write the definition of blood is simple. So what is the definition of blood? Blood is a fluid connective tissue of mesodermal origin which plays important role in transport of nutrients, metabolites, excretory substances, and gases to and from tissues. To and from different tissues of body. Right. So basically this is the definition of blood. Now over here there are few terms which are very important and should be highlighted. Like it's a fluid connective tissue. What kind of connective tissue? It's a fluid connective tissue, and its origin is also to be highlighted, the mesodermal origin, which plays an important role in transport of nutrients, metabolites, excretory substances. All these things you have to write down, okay? So things are like nutrients, metabolites, excretory substances and gases to and from the different tissues of body. Now one by one we have to understand what does fluid connective tissue means, what mesodermal origin signifies, and what is the idea of transport. Now the idea of transport we have already learned that from the digestive system the blood takes the nutrients to different tissues of the body. After utilization of the nutrients, metabolites are formed. Some of those metabolites are excretory substances. So those excretory substances and metabolites are removed away from the tissues or taken away from the tissues. And what happens, and gases are also carried by blood. Blood takes oxygen to different tissues for their metabolic purposes and take away carbon dioxide from the tissues, which is to be excreted by the respiratory system, right? Understood? So these are the important functions of blood. This is to be mentioned when you are supposed to write the definition of blood. Now definition of blood is a very important question that is asked in your examination time and again. So this you have to remember. Okay. Right. Is it all right? Okay, all right. So we are back after a technical glitch. So let's continue from where we started. Now, first of all, do you know what these terms mean? Do you know what these terms mean, like fluid connective tissue and mesodermal origin? Do you understand this terminology? First of all, you have to understand what is a connective tissue, and then you have to understand what is a fluid connective tissue on the first place, and then you have to understand what is mesodermal origin. Yeah, right. These are the important things that are somewhat new to you. Apart from that, the functions we have already discussed, and I don't think there's anything more to be discussed with you right now. All right, so let's get going with this. So first of all, we have to understand, are you with me? Are you with me? Okay, so what do you understand about a tissue? What's your understanding of a tissue? Tell me. What do you understand by a tissue? Let's understand that first and then we will come to the definition of blood. Okay, have you written down the definition? Or one thing that you can do, you can take a screenshot of the definition and can write it down later on in your copy. Okay. Have you written down the definition of blood? This definition is one of the definitions, one of the few definitions that are very important, very much important from your examination point of view, and teachers are very much choosy and picky about words that you use. Very good. The definition of tissue is a group of cells performing similar function. Now one thing, just add to your definition, you are saying that a group of cells performing similar functions. Now one thing just you add, that a group of cells may similar or dissimilar in origin performing a similar function. Okay, just add a point that similar or dissimilar in origin. Now in tissue the cells can be of similar origin or can be of dissimilar origin as well, but the function they play is is actually similar, right? So that make up a tissue. Understood? Right. Now, what is connective tissue? Let's understand. So, have you written down? Have you written it down? Or otherwise, what you can do, a group of cells performing similar function, just keep it that way. You don't need to mention your origin. You can do that also, right? Now, have you written it down? Have you written it down? Okay, I think you have written it down. Now, let me move on. So, one thing that I would now do is classify the connective tissue. So first of all, we have different types of tissue, right? Now, what are the different tissues we have in our body? Do you know what are the different types of tissue that we have in our body? What are the different types of tissue, do you know? So over here, we have the first type of tissue is epithelial. We have connective. We have muscular. And we have nervous tissue. Right. Now, epithelial, connective, muscular, nervous tissue. These are the four types of tissue that we have in our body. Now, what is the role of epithelial tissue? Epithelial tissue, the simple role of epithelial tissue, this is a bit of revision of tissues, okay? Nothing more. So, role of epithelial tissue is lining and covering. Okay, so tell me, is the spelling of lining correct or not? Okay, that is a subdivision of tissues. You're talking about four types of epithelial tissue, different types of connective tissue. Right now, let's not get into the subdivisions of different tissues. We will just do the subdivision of connective tissue at this moment, right? Because we are talking about a chapter dealing with connective tissues. Now, tell me whether the spelling of lining is correct or not. Let's see whether you know the spelling or not. Okay, now lining spelling is not correct, as you may have noticed over here. It was just a testing of you. I hope you are not paying enough attention to the class. Now, we have the main function of epithelial tissue is to do lining and covering. So what is lining and what is covering? Let's understand one by one. Okay, nice job. The spelling is not correct. The spelling, there will be only one N. Now, connective tissue, we will do the classification. Now, muscular tissue, you can understand muscular tissue are the muscles of the body. They have movement, they have roles in movement and locomotion. And nervous system has neuronal control and coordination. It controls and coordinates the body. It sends signals and receives sensations and stimuli from the environment, and thus it does an overall coordination of action of different body parts and body systems. Yeah, a bit of lag is there in your comments. Well, that's not a problem at all. We can manage. Now, let's understand what is the idea of lining and covering. A bit of discussion, that's it. Now, if you have, suppose you have a structure, suppose a box. Suppose this is a box. Now, or this is a house, suppose. Now, in this house will have an exterior paint work, and the inside the house, in the room, there will be an interior paint work, right? Now, suppose the interior paint work is green. Suppose the interior paint work is green, right? And the exterior paint work is your maybe blue, let's or maybe red. Let's take for example red. Okay, so the exterior covering, so basically what happened, the building got covered from, basically the building got wrapped up from outside as well as from inside, right? So the outside wrapping is known as your covering, and inside wrapping is known as your lining. So basically this is your lining. So basically in a human body there are different cavities. Now those cavities are also lined by certain tissue. Otherwise, after all, every cavity needs a lining, right? Without lining, it cannot stay in that way. All right. So there's covering as well as lining. So external wrapping is known as covering. Internal wrapping is known as lining. So covering, for example, covering is our skin. Our skin is covering. So are you with me? Are you with me? And now external covering, external layer, external, it is covering and lining. So skin is covering, and for lining we can see the cell layers inside our mouth that we have on our, inside our cheeks. Those are mucosal lining, known as mucosal lining. So these mucosal linings are coverings, right? So, so have you understood the idea of covering and lining? This idea of covering and lining will be used in this chapter itself. That's why I'm talking about this. Covering and lining, is covering and lining clear? Right. Now we will go to the connective tissues. Now there are different types of connective tissues we will talk about. Now there's connective tissues, loose connective tissue. There's dense connective tissue. There's fluid connective tissue. Tissue. Yeah, basically you need a wrapping from both inside and outside. Now the outside wrapping is covering. It's a cover, like we say bed cover. The bed is getting wrapped from outside. That's a bed cover. Okay. I hope you understood what I'm trying to say. Isn't it? Right. Now basically over here we are talking about the types of connective tissue. Connective tissue is loose connective tissue, dense connective tissue, and sorry, not fluid connective tissue. It's special connective tissue. Sorry, dense. And this is special connective tissue. So this is special, very special and very unique type of connective tissue that is present in our body. Now this special type of I'm not getting into the details of loose connective tissue and dense connective tissue. Sometime later on we will do that. But now special connective tissue is again of two types. The special connective tissue can be solid or it can be fluid. Right. Now solid is what? Solid is your, again, two types: bones and cartilages. And fluid is your what? Blood and lymph. Right. So now I think you can understand where the blood falls in, the category in which the blood falls. Right. So now you can understand the category of blood. So blood falls under, first of all, the blood falls under connective tissue. First of all, it's a tissue, then it's a connective tissue, and then it's a special connective tissue. And what kind of special connective tissue? It's a fluid connective tissue. I hope you can understand where blood is present. So now the idea that blood is a fluid connective tissue is clear. Now we have to understand the next idea, that is what do you mean by mesodermal origin. So now for that we have to go back into the mother's womb. So when a baby develops within a mother's womb, then what happens, the baby first looks like a worm. Okay, so the baby basically looks like a coiled worm. The baby basically looks a bit like this kind of a coiled worm. Over here eye kind of a structure remains. This is what a baby looks like. Understood? Within a mother's womb, in the very early stages of development. Okay, so if it is a worm, all the worms that you have seen in your life, worms are more or less round except a few. There are certain worms known as flatworms, those who are not round, but most of the worms are round, right? So basically what happens, if I take a cross section over here, of the worm, then what I will get, I'll get a round section. Do you understand what a cross section is? We discussed about that in one of our previous classes. Tell me, what is a cross section? Suppose if we take an egg over here, this is an egg, I do a cross section. What over here, if I do a cross section of the egg like this, then what will I get? What I will get to see? I'll get to see structures like this. With right? Understood? Cutting, not cutting in half. Cutting in half can be done in different ways also. Like I can cut it half in this way also, right? I can cut it half in this way also. How you are cutting it? Horizontally? Are you cutting it horizontally or you are cutting it vertically? If you cut it vertically, that is known as a vertical section or longitudinal section. And if you do a transverse section, that or horizontal section or cross section. Understood? Now in the cross section, what we will see three distinct layers of cells are present. Like the outside, there is one cell layer. With nuclei of the cells. Understood? Outside one cell layer is present. Then inside that we have another cell layer present. Inside it we have another cell layer present. Like another many layers of different cell. And finally we have another third layer present. Okay, so then after this, whatever you see inside is your gut. What do you understand by gut? Please tell me. What is your understanding of gut? Gut is basically our alimentary canal, the gastrointestinal tract, isn't it? Understood what I'm trying to say? The cavity inside, basically we are seeing a cross section, right? If the cross section, that means the inside the cavity lined by red cells, it's a tube. Essentially it's a tube. So the tube that is present, basically over here inside you have a tube present. You have a tube going on over here inside, right? So that is known as gut. Clear? Right. Now these three layers have different names. The outer layer is known as ectoderm. See, the outer layer is known as ectoderm. Dome means covering. Okay, you have a lot of guts, I see. So that's why you think of guts of the courageous gut. Well, it's good to be courageous, not a problem. In the middle, what we have, the middle part is known as mesoderm, and inside what we have is your endoderm. Understood? So why this happens, basically how this tube is formed, basically first when the baby develops, baby is a sheet of cells, a plain sheet, a round sheet of cells, a round sheet of cells present. Understood? A plate, a kind of a plate. Okay, now this disc shaped plate, now for after from this one disc shaped plate, three disc shaped plates occur of three different types of cells. On the top present is ectodermal plate, in the middle mesodermal plate, and then in the below we have endodermal plate. Right over here the three sheets come in, like after over it comes up your mesodermal plate, and then over it comes up your ectodermal plate, like layers of a cake, right? Then these things all together fold to form a tube. So if they fold all together to form a tube, like suppose if this whole part gets in and starts folding, and this whole part gets in, this whole part gets into folding, then what will happen at the end? This kind of a situation will take place, right? The same manner in which you fold paper to make a tube. So that's how this worm like appearance of the small developing embryo or baby occurs. So over here there's these three types of cell layers are known as ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. Now this blood develops later on in the phase of development. Blood develops from this mesoderm. All the components of bloods develop from this mesoderm, and that's why blood is known as mesodermally derived. Understood? Now about this ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm, embryo, plates and all those things we will discuss in details when we will be talking about a reproductive system. Right now we are not getting into that. Right? Now we have understood the definition of blood. Now we are going to the next topic of our today's discussion, that is blood group. Now we can talk about blood grouping first, or we can talk about the structure of heart first. Whatever you want to understand. What do you want to do now? We can do blood grouping, or we can get into the heart. The blood grouping is also an important topic. One thing we can do, that we can do the blood grouping later on, and we can do the heart first. The structure of heart. We will discuss the structure of heart today. Just tell me what you want to do. Okay, nice. I thought so. Let's find where heart is. Yeah, heart blood vessels, we will do that. And after that, we will come back to our discussion of blood group. But we have to do blood groups, right? Blood groups are important. Now we are over here present with the human heart. We are present with the human heart. So what is this human heart? Right? Now human heart is a very important topic from examination point of view, in that they ask you to draw the diagram of a heart. Right? And you have to practice drawing the diagram of heart. Understood? Now, basically heart is what? In case of, let's talk about human heart first, then we will talk about other different hearts that are present. Now human heart is basically, it's the pump of the total circulatory system. Now this pump has four chambers, and there are many pipes which are connected to these chambers. Now we have to understand what are the chambers, what are the relation among the chambers, and what are the pipes. Basically that is what we have to learn about the heart, and any structural details or functional details of the different chambers. Yeah, exactly, it's a blood pumping organ. Now let's, with this heart, let's take a simplified diagram over here. Let's keep this heart aside, and with this heart let's take a simplified diagram. I will simplify the diagram a bit for you. Suppose I have a structure like this. Let me draw it with yellow, more or less resembling the heart on the right side. Now over here, if I, grossly speaking, we have four chambers. These are the four chambers. Now one thing, which side is the right side and which side is the left side? This is one thing that students most often do a mistake. This is a very common mistake that students often do. Which side? Let me write over here, this is left, this is right. Is it true? Or this is right, this is left. Which one is true? Tell me whether yellow writings are true or the black writings are true. Which side is the right side, which side is the left side? Tell me whether yellow or black. Answer in Y or B. Black side. Okay, very good. How? Why not yellow? That you can very well see in the diagram that right side is written on the black writings correspond with the picture already present on the board. So you are saying that it's black, right? Or any other explanation do you have? Do you have any other explanation to support your answer? Exactly, because you are looking at a person's heart and the person is standing or laying down in front of you. And if the person is in front of you, then his or her left becomes your right, or his or her right becomes your left, right? I think this concept is clear for you. So whenever we describe any biological organ, the left and right for us, and the diagram or the picture or the book flips. Understood? So okay, this idea is very clear, that which one is the right side and which one is the left side. Okay, very nice. So now over here, let me write one thing. This is right. Okay, wait once. This is right, this is right, and this is left, this is left. Agree? Just say Y or N. There are so many things I will ask you to agree or disagree on. Exactly, lateral inversion. Very good. Like a mirror image, right? So now there's going to be so many things I will ask you to agree or disagree. So just say yes or no. Agree or disagree. Just say AG or DIS, right? So now I have written down RRLL. So do you agree with that? Now there are two chambers which are on the right side. There are two chambers which are on the left side in the heart. Do you agree with that? Okay. Now the heart chambers are based on their receiving and giving away blood. The chambers have two names. The chambers which receive blood are known as atrium, and the chambers which pump out blood are known as ventricles. Understood? chamber in which blood comes in are known as atrium. Chamber from which blood goes out are known as ventricle. Agree? Right. Now for atrium, from now on I will write in short, I'll write A, and for ventricle in short I will write V. Okay, so I can say this is right atrium, this is left atrium, this is right ventricle, this is left ventricle. Agree? Do you agree? Right. All right. Now let's go one step further. Before that, let's identify. So these are the chambers that we have. So in a human heart, we have 4 chambers. Out of the 4 chambers, 2 chambers are on the right, 2 chambers are on the left. 2 chambers are atrium, 2 chambers are ventricle. Right? 4 chambers, 2 on right, 2 on left. 2 are atrium, 2 are ventricle. Right? Now let's find out these chambers on the diagram itself. Right? Over here, see it's written right atrium. Can you see? Right atrium. Can you see the writing right atrium? Over here we have a writing. It's right atrium. Over here we have a writing right atrium. See, I have highlighted it very well. So let's track the right atrium. Okay. So let's track the right atrium. Right atrium is our, this chamber over here, this chamber is our right atrium. Can you see the highlighted area, the right atrium? Now let's find out the left atrium. The left atrium is over here written. Left atrium. So the highlighted region over here, this region is your left atrium. Can you see? Now let's see the right ventricle. This region is the right ventricle. And this region is our left ventricle. Now, can you relate to all these? Can you relate to all these things? Now, as you can see that with these 4 chambers, there are different pipes are connected. Right. Now let's understand the pipes, the pipe connections. After that, we will see the flow of the blood inside the heart. Right. So now let me erase out all these things, all these markings. Right. Now let's see the pipes connected. Now, first of all, let's see. There are two pipes. As you can see, there are two right atrium. There are two pipes are connected over here. This pipe and this pipe. These pipes are connected to the right atrium. So let's connect two blue. They have attached blue pipes. So let us also attach blue pipes to the right atrium. Right. Okay. Now see, they have attached four orange pipes with the left atrium. Four orange pipes. Where are the pipes? Let's understand. See, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. So over here they have attached four orange pipes. So basically 2 are coming from the left side, 2 are coming from the right side. So for that, let me clear up the board a bit. Over here, what they are trying to do, two pipes from the left side and two pipes from the right side. All right. These are the pipes connected to the atrium. Okay. Now, there are one pipe each are connected to the two ventricles. So now there's one pipe going out of right ventricle, as you can see over here. Let me show you. See, right, this is right ventricle from which a pipe is going out like this. Can you see from right ventricle one pipe is going out? Let's take black color and show you. Right ventricle, one pipe is going out. Right. So let's make a pipe go out from right ventricle. So now the right ventricle, all the pipes go out towards the top, but for our ease of understanding, I will show it this way. So let me show it. It's a purple colored pipe, a dark pink colored pipe actually. So let's make, I will show it this way, going out and dividing into two branches. See, it has divided into two branches. Can you see? Over here it has divided into two branches. Right? And from atria, from left ventricle, there's another pipe going out. See, from left ventricle, another pipe goes out like this. Okay, so I'm showing that pipe again with, that's a red pipe. So let me show a red pipe from here. And again, the pipe goes upwards and so just, I will just show it like this. Can you see? The pipe. Now over here it has three sproutings. Over here 1, 2, 3. 3 sproutings. So have you understood the pipings or not? Tell me. Have you understood the pipings or not? Right now, so we have understood the pipings. Now let's learn the names of these pipings. All right, let's learn the names of these pipings. Okay. Sorry, what you're trying to say? I'm not understanding. Now let's understand the names. Okay. Now over here, first thing that you should see the pipe coming from the top. This pipe is known as superior vena cava. In short, SVC. See, superior vena cava. Similarly, the pipe going from down is known as inferior vena cava, IVC. Okay. Now the pipes coming into the left atrium, those pipes are known as pulmonary veins. They are known as pulmonary veins. Pulmonary veins. Now the pipe going out of right ventricle. The pipe going out of right ventricle is known as pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery. So this is pulmonary artery. And the pipe going out of left ventricle is known as aorta. So let's write down aorta. I hope you have understood. Now in pulmonary veins over here, let's come back to the pulmonary veins over here. Pulmonary veins, these are coming from right, so they are known as right pulmonary veins, and these are coming from left, so these are known as left pulmonary veins. Left pulmonary veins, right? All right, so now we are clear with the names. Okay, so whatever you're trying that, oxygenated and deoxygenated blood vessels, we are coming to that. Let's understand step by step. Now, let's see what happens. What is the role of blood? Now, blood takes oxygen, goes to lungs, gets oxygenated, and then gets oxygenated, comes back to heart, gets pumped out of the heart, goes to the body, oxygen is utilized, carries carbon dioxide to the heart. That means most of the blood that is coming to the heart, except lungs, are deoxygenated or carbon dioxide rich. The term deoxygenated is a misnomer. Deoxygenated never means that the blood does not contain carbon dioxide. And similarly, the term oxygenated never means that the blood does not contain carbon dioxide. Both the bloods contain carbon dioxide and oxygen together. So what we say, oxygen rich and carbon dioxide rich. One kind of blood is rich in oxygen, another kind of blood is rich in carbon dioxide. Understood? Now what happens? Now let's understand the flow, right? Now first, okay, before understanding the flow, there are some gates. Let's understand the gates. Now from right atrium to right ventricle there is a gate. That gate has 3 doors. And from left atrium to left ventricle we have a gate which has 2 doors. These gates are known as valves. On the other hand, we have another type of valve. We have another type of valve on the beginning of PA, that is pulmonary artery, and aorta. They look like moons. Okay, the gates look like moons, the gate doors. Okay, so that's why they are known as semilunar valves. These valves are known as semilunar valves because they look like half moon. Semilunar valves, and these are known as atrioventricular valves. Atrioventricular valves. Valves are the doors. Understood? Understood. Now we have pipes, we have chambers, and we have gates. Now we can see the flow of blood in and out of the pipes, right? Now first what happens, SVC, that is the superior vena cava, and IVC, which is the inferior vena cava, they bring in blood from the body except lungs. So as they are bringing in blood from the body, the blood is carbon dioxide enriched or carbon dioxide rich. The thing that you people call deoxy, but the deoxy term should not be used or should be avoided at least, because the term is not a very good term to be used. Understood? Now we have SVC and we have IVC. So blood, so let's see carbon dioxide enriched blood. I will draw with blue. So blood from SVC come in, blood from IVC come in to the heart. Okay, should I remove the namings over here? Should I remove the namings? I think you know the namings, so that will clean up the diagram so that we can understand. Should I clean up the namings? Okay, let's clean up the namings over here so that our study becomes easier. Have you noted down the semilunar valves and atrioventricular valves? Have you noted down? Right. So now blood comes from SVC and IVC. Now why we need SVC and IVC? Now heart is present in somewhat middle position of the body, in the thorax, in the chest, inside the chest. Now there's an upper part, the body part, which lies superior or up on top of the heart, and there are body parts which are below the heart. Now the blood from the body parts which are below the heart are brought to the heart by the inferior vena cava, because from the inferior body parts blood comes from inferior vena cava, and from superior body parts blood comes from the superior vena cava. Okay, see, let's assume this is you. Okay, nice handsome young man. Right, happy? Now over here, suppose that let's divide. This is your diaphragm. This part is your, the below part is your abdomen, the upper part is your thorax. Now over here in the thorax you have what? You have two lungs. Over here you have one lung. You have over here another lung. And in the middle of the two lungs, or a bit towards the left side, you have something known as your heart. Understood? Now there are certain body parts which are present above the heart. There are certain body parts like your head, your hands, and there are certain body parts which are present below the heart. Now up is known as superior, above is known as superior, below is known as inferior. So basically this is the superior idea and this is the inferior. Now from inferior parts of the body, the blood is brought to the heart by inferior vena cava, that is IVC, and from the superior part of the body, the blood is brought to the heart by superior vena cava. Now I hope you understood. And this is our cute little monster hunter. Understood? Okay, all right. Now, so blood is present in the blood is present in which compartment now? Reply fast, in short. Blood is present in which compartment? Blood is present in which compartment? Yes, I'm waiting. Tell me which compartment. Fast, tell me. That's not a very difficult question that I've asked. The question is, after entering through superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, in which compartment the blood will come in? Which compartment? Left atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle, which one? Right atrium, very good, very good. So from right atrium, the blood will enter the right atrium, and from the right atrium, and the blood is what? Carbon dioxide rich, or whatever you call is deoxygenated, right? So now the blood will move through this door. This door is known as what? This known as door has three gates. That's why this door is known as tricuspid valve. Write down tricuspid valve. Okay. Now blood is present in which compartment now? After passing the tricuspid valve? Right ventricle, very good. So after from right ventricle, where the blood will go? So blood will cross the which valve? It will cross and will enter into which structure? It will cross which valve and it will enter into which structure? Pulmonary artery, very good. Now what are arteries? Arteries are basically vessels, blood vessels, which take blood away from heart, and veins are blood vessels which take blood towards the heart. Understood? Arteries are vessels which take blood away from the heart, and veins are vessels which take blood towards the heart. So it's pulmonary artery. From pulmonary artery, where the blood will go? Blood will go to the lungs. In lungs, the blood will there will be gases exchange. The blood, carbon dioxide enriched blood will get converted into oxygen enriched blood, and the blood, let's draw the oxygen enriched blood with red. Okay, now these are what? These four structures: pulmonary veins, right? So through these pulmonary veins, blood will enter into heart again, and this time this blood is oxygen enriched. The blood went to lungs through pulmonary artery, gases exchange was done. Now this blood is oxygen enriched, red, denoted by red. Yeah, oxy rich blood. Now this blood is in which compartment? In which compartment? This is your right atrium, right? Or left atrium? Which left atrium? Left atrium, right? Okay. Now from left atrium, the blood will move through one valve. That valve is known as bicuspid valve because it has two gates. Bicuspid valve, which is also known as mitral valve. Mitral valve. See over here, written on the diagram. Right? Now from my after crossing mitral valve, it will enter into which compartment? It will enter into left ventricle, and from left ventricle it will move out through what structure? It will move out through a semilunar valve, and through the semilunar valve it will move out through aorta, right? Understood till this? Right? Now over here in the diagram, see the aorta first goes up like this, then the aorta arches down. There's an arch that it forms, and then it goes down, and then it is, see, it is shown over here, the aorta goes down. So basically what is the structure of the aorta? Aorta goes out like this, forms an arch, goes behind and goes down like this. Okay, understood? So there's first part, there's second part, there's third part. The first part is known as ascending aorta, the second part is known as the arch of aorta, and the third part is known as the descending aorta. Right? Understood? Now with this, let's finish off the class over here today. Right? Let's finish off the class over here today. In the next class, we will talk about the pumping of the heart, the cardiac cycle, blood grouping, and a bit about circulatory system. And with that, we will finish off our discussion on circulation. Right? So let's end the class today over here. And also in the next class, I will teach you how to draw heart, which is a very, very important thing for your examination. All right. Okay. So all right. Bye bye.